I learn something in every deal, and it's great because I'm like, okay, now I know this better. Now I know this better. And the more I know, the more I feel like I can serve better. So yes, I enjoy learning. I enjoy even the challenges. I guess I can say I enjoy them after the fact.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Happy Agent Podcast. We're really excited to get this episode rolling with us. And you've got me, Jeff Beggins, as your host. And I've got a couple co-hosts with me today.
Brother Craig Beggins.
Brother Craig.
And Mike Puma.
Mike Puma. And the star of the show today is Cheryl. Cheryl Roda-Wu has been with us with the Beggins Enterprise family with our BE3 group inside of our company for several months now, and it's been really fun. I personally get to work with Cheryl a lot, and from the very beginning when she came on board, and it's been a great story because you came in. I guess I could kind of say that you're green. You were really green to the real estate industry,
Very green.
And sponged and just absorbed a lot and asked a lot of questions and did some things and screwed stuff up and go, oh my God, what do I do? But really took some great direction all the way through. Before we get to the real estate side of the world, why don't you, Cheryl, give us a little background on you, because you got quite a cool story with your experiences and traveling. Where does your story begin? Tell us a little background about you.
A little background about me. Born in New York, raised in Virginia, moved to Florida about 11 years ago. We would come here on vacations twice a year. My dad loved Florida, loved fishing, loved the weather. So we were in Florida a lot. There's a certain smell and a certain ambience and a certain feel when you drive into Florida. And I've always loved that since I was a kid. And then when my husband's job offered him to move him down here, we took it. We were going to stay for 4 years, and we liked it so much that we stayed. Yeah, so we're here. And
How many people start that way? They vacation in Florida and just end up moving here.
True, very true. Awesome. Yes.
And you're now in Windermere, in Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
In Windermere.
That's how some people say.
Is that where you landed 11 years ago? Did you guys come right there?
It's where we landed. Yes. You know, we were looking for schools. We were looking for, my husband was working for Disney, so we were looking right in this area, and this was a great fit.
Very nice.
The home search, I can relate to all the people moving into Florida because you don't know anything about it except for the vacation areas when you're new. And that's how all these Northerners and Westerners and whoever is coming here, that's how they are. They just know, well, I know this is where Disney is and this is where the vacation spots are, and you just show them the different towns.
Well, it's so funny because you fly into Orlando Regional Airport or International Airport and you think you're in Orlando, but you're not. You're in Kissimmee, and you think Disney World's in Orlando, and it's not. And you think you're in Windermere, which is Orlando, but it's not. So there's a lot of local knowledge that just has to be imparted on somebody.
So I want to back up. I want to rewind the story a little bit, because before you got to get into real estate. So you're here 11 years ago, and you've only been in real estate for a couple of years with your license. So
I've only been for a year. Just
for 1 year, that's right. And so what were you doing before? And tell us about your China experience and what was the inspiration behind that? I think that's really important to the story as it evolves.
Okay. We were graduating from college, and a recruiter came and said, hey, China's opening up. They want some English teachers. As long as you have a college degree, you don't have to have an English degree. We want you to go abroad, and you're going to work for China, and they'll pay you, and you just teach spoken English. And so me and a bunch of our classmates are like, yeah, travel, China, let's do it. We went abroad. We were separated all across China, 2 by 2. And I was in a town called Chengde, which is north of Beijing. It's where the summer palace was, where the emperors would go. And beautiful place, wonderful area. I didn't know the language. None of us knew the language. We had to immerse ourselves and learn it. And I had a harder time because being Asian, the Chinese would look at me and talk to me, and I couldn't understand or respond. And they would just be like, what are you? And then I'd tell them I'm American, and they'd start laughing. They're like, yeah, right, you're American. I'm like, yeah. And then, so then I'd had to learn the phrase, like, I'm Filipino American. And then they would kind of believe that, but they always thought I was Russian. When I couldn't speak, they're like, oh, she's from Russia. She's from Russia. And that was a learning experience for me also. I didn't know there were Russians that looked Asian, but yes, there are many.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I want to talk about the guts it takes to, because there's a couple things right now. That takes some guts to grab a friend and go to China right out of college, not speaking a language and just being dropped into a foreign country, not speaking the language. It says, here's your job, go have fun. Right. So
How do you
I mean,
teach English to Chinese people and you don't speak Chinese or Mandarin?
Because they wanted people that only spoke English.
There's no choice. So there was immersion for
there
them
was no
too.
choice, right?
Mhm.
Right. And yeah, it was hard. I always walked around with my dictionary because back then we didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have, oh man, am I dating myself?
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
we didn't have we didn't have any of that. So it was the dictionary. I was always walking around with my dictionary. And anytime we had a word, you know, the part of it was English to Chinese, Mandarin to English. So I'd look up words, hand it to them, they'd look up words, and that's how we communicated for quite a bit. And
You
then
didn't
in
have
the
Google
meantime,
Translate?
oh yeah, I wish. Oh, the slow boat to China, really, mail would take 3 months. Well, a package from home would take 3 months. Letters would take several weeks, and that's how we could communicate with people back home. It was not easy. It wasn't easy, but you adapt. And I just had to learn the language so I could be social again. And once I could speak a little bit, things got a lot better. But it was hard at first. I'll have to say it really was hard at first.
you know what I love, and you know where my brain's going with this one. Talk about the correlations between that and real estate. You didn't speak the language, you didn't know anything about it, you just total immersion, and you had to figure it out so you could be social and actually figure it out and make things easy, right? So it's the exact same situation you've been doing over here. So you
Right.
were, we'll get to
Well,
that
let's talk about that, Jeff, because Cheryl really did totally immerse herself into real estate. I mean, I commented before we started this broadcast that, you know, you're online a lot. And you said, yeah, I try to watch every day. And then you apologize for missing today, which is 100% fine. But you really have. So kudos to you, because we're honored that you plug in every day and try to get the message. And you said you feel like an experienced agent now, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, how else will I learn? And to learn from people that know what they're talking about, that's the best way to learn, rather than books or, I mean, going out there was the best way to learn. Same thing with immersion, speaking the language, just getting out there and having to speak. Getting out there and doing these sales was the best way to learn, but to have you all talk about your experiences and how to navigate, that's just helpful. That just helps me go faster and learning on the learning curve. I mean,
and it just like going to China, it takes a lot of guts and courage to take that step, because there's a lot of doubt, fear, and anxiety in learning anything new, right? Whether it's a business or a travel or going to a different country for that matter. And what you've done well is said, you know what, I'm just going to go do it. Like, what was your reasoning for getting your license? Like, what were you doing before you got your real estate license?
I've been a stay-at-home mom for many years, and throughout the years while the kids were small, I've always been wanting to do real estate. Even back in Maryland, we lived in Maryland for many years. I wanted to do it then, but I was like, well, the kids are small, I'm going to focus on the kids. So once they all became teenagers and self-sufficient, at least high school and above, once they all were in high school and above, I'm like, okay, now I can do it. Let's just do it. I mean, I did part-time jobs here and there, but this is when I decided last year, it's like, I'm going to jump into it. I'm just going to do it. Going to take that license, going to take those classes, take those courses. And I did. And again, back with EXP, I was always on there learning. I'm one that I want to learn. I want to have, you know, as many of those letters after me as I can have after my name. And just because I feel more secure in knowing that, okay, I do know what I'm talking about. Because I don't want to be out there and these are people that are doing investments, you know, with their money. It's a huge deal. I don't want to mess that up. I want to give them the best I can. So
Now,
that's why
I'm always curious. What was the, obviously I'm sure you interviewed multiple brokerages. What was the deciding factor after getting your license? Now it's time to pick a broker, right? I'm sure there's agents who are going to watch this that are going through that exact process as we speak. What helped make your decision to initially go with EXP? What caused that?
training. The training that they had online, I don't know if you've been to EXP, they had their little world where you could go in there and you could go to any office and talk to anybody and ask any questions. And then they had multiple trainings a day. That's what got me in there, because I'm like, I need to learn fast. So that got me in there, and I did a lot of their trainings. I did a lot of their things. And then I picked a team to work with. And like I said, it just wasn't a good fit. And a coworker on that same team went to you all and told me about you. And he said, the trainings are awesome. He goes, the team trainings, not the online trainings, but yes, that too. But he was saying, oh my goodness, in one training alone in the morning, that's like 12 or 20 of the other trainings that we used to get. And so then I came on and I was like, oh my goodness, you're so right. They really, you guys talk about what we need to know. And it isn't about, okay, what did you do today? What did you do today? What did you today? It wasn't that. It was actual, you guys are giving actual training every day. And I'm not knocking anything. Every brokerage is different, but this was a good fit for me. It wasn't like, you have to do it this way. You also need to fit it to an agent's personality, I think. And before I joined you all, I was watching all these happy agent podcasts. And I was like, yeah, all right, this is probably going to be a good
All right,
fit.
Puma, maybe it does work.
Every once in a while, do something that actually works. No, I think that's a really important nuance, though, for any prospective agent that does happen to watch this podcast, right? Because I think, obviously I talk with hundreds of agents a year about them trying to make that decision, right? Where do I go with my business? Who do I pick? And it's overwhelming, right? Going through the exam, passing it, and then all of a sudden you start interviewing different brokers and everyone does something different. They all call it different things. They all say they train, they all say they coach. And I think it's important to note, though, that there's multiple dynamics to consider. One is general training, right? So you liked the XP corporate training, but just as important is what is that actual local support that you're getting from your actual broker and team? How is that, right? And does that align with what you're looking for? And all of it needs to be cohesive. And if one of those is not, then all of a sudden there's trouble. But this is what I always try and tell every agent, as big of a decision as this is, once you recognize that it's not the best fit for you, you can pivot, right? This isn't the end of the world. You're not stuck. You can leave and make a change. And that's exactly what you did. You pivoted, you realized it wasn't for you. Fortunately, we were able to have a conversation and you picked us, and that was awesome. And we're so glad you did. But now you make that choice, you come over, and you have absolutely crushed it since you have. And I'm very proud to have you on the team, but I just want to prove that point that those little nuances matter. So for agents watching that are going through that, make sure you're really digging deep into whoever you're considering joining, because there's multiple layers there that need to align.
That's right. And just some real data there. I mean, just in the time that you've been here in the first year, you've already got 14 open sites, right? Written. That's significant business.
And we just learned that was 14 open sides that actually went to contract.
Right.
There were a whole lot more offers written. And in this market, I think we're coming to the end of that frenzy where we had 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 offers on a listing.
Right.
Which means if you got a listing with 50 offers, means 49 people didn't win. So that you still wrote the offer. So Cheryl made it clear, no, I wrote a lot of offers that didn't get accepted. And I think we talked to some pretty cool things to get your offers accepted too. Yeah. So 14 in the first half of the year is pretty darn strong.
That's not bad. Yeah, so I did join exactly 10 months ago, probably to this day. So yeah, I come a long ways from coming in.
How long have you been in the industry?
Since summer, so about a year and a month, a year and 2 months.
So a year and a month, 10 months with us, 14 open sites. Craig, what's the national average for an agent?
It's 5, less than 5 actually.
Per year.
In a year, right.
Right. So that's
but 14 accepted in a market where you might write 5 or 6 to get one done. What's 14 times 5?
Yes.
It's a lot. It's 70.
Yes. So, and there's no magic bullet, right? As great as our training is, and I think it is great. So I appreciate Cheryl realizing that there's no magic bullet. Cheryl came in and she engaged, right? That, to Craig's point earlier, you came in and you said, you know what? Yes, they have a lot to offer, and I'm actually going to absorb it, and then I'm going to go execute on it. And you and Jeff talk regularly, right?
I
And
call him, Jeff, I got an issue. Jeff, I need help, you know? So, and that's also great because
exactly,
I
but
can
that's what
call.
leads to you doing 14 deals.
Um,
Oh, and there's been lots of issues, right? And guys, this is not just let's write 14 deals, la la la, kumbaya, it's easy. No, there was gut wrenching, heartache, heartbreak, buyers not getting offers, listing agents being jerks, trying to call you names and report you for things you didn't do, right? All these different things. And it's like,
yes.
how do I write this offer? I've got this is what the listing agent's telling me. I think this guy's trying to take advantage of me. All the stuff's kind of, it's like a battlefield, right? You got all these new things coming at you. You're like in China, surrounded by a bunch of strangers, and you have no idea what they're talking about. Really, that's what real estate is, especially your first couple of years. Like, what is this? What's this thing the lender's saying? Who's saying this? This guy's been in the business forever. I don't even know what he's telling me. Is this right? Is this wrong? And so, but you ask, right? And that's the part is you if everybody watching this one, you got to have that support of saying, hey, got a question, help me, right? Because it's not just your license on the line, it's your brokers and your leaders too. So everybody better be in lockstep and figuring things out along the way. But for you to just immerse and engage, and you're on there, our daily huddles 8:30, 9:30 every single day, most of the time you're on there, and if not, you catch it on the replay in our closed Facebook groups and all that stuff. So, and you're like, to Craig's point, we strive to be master's level education, and because every deal is any deal the same.
Oh my goodness, no. I learned something in every deal, and it's great because I'm like, okay, now I know this better. Now I know this better. And the more I know, the more I feel like I can serve better. So yes, I enjoy learning. I enjoy even the challenges. I guess I can say I enjoy them after the fact.
After
I've learned it.
Mike, there's that word. She just said serve. We've interviewed some top agents on all these podcasts, and that's the word. I'm a servant leader, right? I'm serving my clients. And she just said it without any prodding at all. So I think it's like universal across the board. The top agents are servants.
No, that's how I view it. That's definitely how I view it. I'm serving. I'll serve somebody that's going to buy a $5,000 house. I've done that. And I'll give them the same service as I'm going to give to somebody that's buying a $500,000 house. And I'm just going to help them no matter what.
So this
Universal
empathy and this the serving. I was talking with Julie right before we went live on this one, and I said, give me a couple words from your take from Cheryl, because you know how Julie's there to serve as well, and super high ass. And she's so supportive. She cares so much, and she literally gives herself emotionally to these transactions, and she takes it extremely personally. And I think that's what makes you so successful, because you can't fake that, right? You love people, and you take this as a serious responsibility. This is one of their largest financial transactions. Even if it's a $50,000 something, that's $50,000. That's a lot of money, right? Of course, you can't even have anything for 50 grand, but you get the point. It doesn't matter the price point. It's the ability to get them to a next level in their life. Because I think one of the things you like to say, it's even in your bio, is that every stage of life requires a home, right? And as things change and move, you're able to do that. So
the thing I love about Cheryl, though, real quick before we move on, is I legitimately think if someone were to characterize you, it would be a teddy bear, right? They would picture a teddy bear on the outside because you love people. You're that person they can approach. You have the empathy. But if they actually looked in your heart, I think they would see a lion, because you go after their needs ferociously, right? The last deal we had that we had sent to you, which is that Home Partners deal, I mean, most agents would have just given up, right? Most agents, after the first 3 times that deal tried to die, they would have said, you know what? Not worth it. We'll move on. The renter technically isn't even my client, right? We're gonna call this a day. They can go find a different house. Not you, right? I kept getting emails, kept getting phone calls. Hey, still trying to make this thing breathe. Can you help? Can you help? Can you help? All the way, literally, as you describe it, just dragging it across the finish line, but you don't give up. And that comes back to having that overall love and passion to help people, but just the heart of a lion where you are not going to let go. Once you've latched on and said you've committed to them, you're committed. And that's a super powerful trait that we can't teach, right? All of the tactics and the tips and tricks and all of our learnings that Craig has learned over the last 30 years, he can share all that, right? We can teach you a lot of the fundamentals of real estate. We can't teach you that. We can't teach you the heart. And so bringing that to the table just, I think, has allowed you to have so much success over this first year and so much more to come.
Well, you know what? I think it's relevant, Cheryl, but Home Partners, as you all know if you're watching, it's a rent-to-own program where there's an angel investor who will buy a house for somebody who can't afford or qualify to own one today. Buy it for cash back. Well, secrets here. What was the story behind this tough customer? They couldn't buy a house, I take it, or maybe they're an FHA or VA buyer who couldn't compete in a multiple offer situation. How was Home Partners the solution for them, and why was it so difficult?
Well, it was a solution for them. They didn't want to sell their house and become homeless. So they were like, this is the best way to go. We're going to rent. And then to also know the area. They were moving from another state into Florida. So this way they could test it out. They could test out the area. They could test out the house. It was a fit for them. And then once the deal got signed, then they put their house on the market.
So you use that. And, we have a very close relationship with Home Partners. We've done hundreds and hundreds of transactions with them. So that experience we pass along to you. You were able to expose the customer to this alternative way of buying, which kudos to you for exposing them to that. And then that worked for them.
Whew, we did it. We barely got it across the line, but I think their feet are still on the other side of the line, but at least most of the body's on this side of the line. And they're going to move in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to a loan officer, Jeff, that we work with a lot. And well, first thing he told me that I thought was relevant was he hasn't done an FHA loan in a year and a half, which is crazy because he used to do a lot of FHA loans. 2, he's personally closing on his own home partner's house now. And he has equity already. I forget the number. Let's say he can buy it for $275, but it's worth $325. So he scored. But he's also working with a lot of clients who were home partners ready and now they want to buy, but they're upside down on the house, so they can't buy it. They got to bring cash. So it runs both ways. It's just something it's a neat tool. And now it's in your back. So you can make a whole niche out of that. Mike will show you. Between social marketing, you could totally target that clientele, and that program is going to be around for a while. They just got bought by Blackstone. So there's billions of dollars available now.
Well, and that's another thing I want to say about your team. You give us so many different options, Home Partners being one of them. And my mind is blanking right now, but there's so many different, you can do this, you can do this. Mike, what are some of the programs? Jeff, what are some of the programs?
Yeah, I mean, listen, as your business partner, we're there to create opportunities, right? And so from knock to Home Partners to Realtor, I mean, it's just
City
opportunities, programs, partnerships.
Ojo, OpCity, Zillow. I mean, we got our fingers in all that stuff.
Yep.
Right.
Yes. And that was another thing too. You give us leads. With the previous brokerage, like you had to cross a bunch of different levels before you could even get leads. And I never got leads in my last brokerage. So coming here, when you're learning, I guess you don't get leads right at the beginning, but after I started getting them and started working them, then it got crazy. I think it's the algorithm. Once you do a deal, then you get more and you get more and you get more. It got to the point where I turned them off. I couldn't take anymore. It was a frenzy. It was like I was showing homes all day and writing offers all night. And I mean, one night I wrote 5 offers in one night. I was up most of the night writing those offers. So
you mastered Ojo. Ojo's crushing you right now.
Ojo, yeah, I think they put me on hold for a little bit just because I'm a little behind. But it is hard to keep up with because you got to keep notes in Ojo. I have my own notes, and then I got to keep them up in Zap too. So I'm like, there's got to be a way that I don't have to write these things 3 times. And I haven't figured that out yet.
We're working on different, we understand, we feel your pain. And that's part of the lead fatigue thing I've been talking about, but we can't turn off the faucet. They just keep coming.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you talked about that. I heard that term before, but I think I really experienced it last month. I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. But I also hear Jeff say, take advantage of it. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Build your pipeline. Yep.
yes, to build the pipeline. So keep
And
moving
remember,
forward.
every client, every closing is worth $130,000 to you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going anywhere. This is in your blood. This is, you're made for you're doing a phenomenal job in this industry. So every deal, all 14 of these times 130,000, that's what that's worth to you over your career. Because all of the past
Yeah, and it's going to
clients,
happen to you next
friends.
year.
Yes.
I'm already having different people refer others to me. So it's there. And I'm not good with social media. I have not put an effort. I tried a little bit here and there. I haven't even touched Facebook for months. Sorry, Mike. You guys are
Cover
gonna
my
say-
ears just so I don't get hurt.
and I know you give us posts. I know we can put on there. And that's another thing. You give us posts to put on there daily. But when I get on there, I don't have the time. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but I just am not making that time, I guess. I'm just going out there and showing homes. And I'm going out there and serving
It's
clients.
one of the lanes.
But I think that's a super valuable point, right? And this is the difference. I think one of the big differences with our approach and a lot of brokerages approach, right? And you kind of touched on it earlier, but a lot of brokerages come in, they say, hey, this is how you make money in real estate, because that's how that individual broker made money over the last 20 years in real estate. And we tried to not do that, right? We try and say, hey, here's the 5 to 6 major ways that people can make money in real estate. Pick one, right?
Pick one.
Pick one, and then let's get really good at that one. And if social is not it, that's fine, right? I laugh, and this is coming from someone who's chief marketing officer who pushes social. I laugh when someone's like, oh, you can't be in today's world without social. That's not true, right? What I don't want to hear, though, is that you're not doing, you're not using the programs and partnerships. You're not calling people. You're not working absentee owners. You're not working for sale by owners. You're not taking any of the leads that are given to you. You're not doing, then what are you doing, right? And then in that case, you have nothing to complain about. But in your perfect example, you've done 14 transactions in less than a year with us, and you just admitted you don't even go on Facebook. So it's not a requirement, right? And I think that you're a perfect example of someone that if you just come on and know what you're willing to do and know what you're not willing to do, and don't lie to yourself, and don't waste time posting once a month because you know that's going to do nothing for you. And instead you take that time and actually put it into stuff that is working for you. That's the value, right? That's where you can be very good, where other agents struggle because like, oh no, I have to do this, but they are just checking a box. And I think with you, there's no check in a box. You're all in on the methods that are working for you. And, I think we should dive into that, right? Let's dive into, because there's a lot of agents that are going to watch this and say, this is great, but how did she go from 0 to 14 deals? How did that happen? Right.
And
So
that
how
just
did
happened.
it happen to you?
That just happened starting March, I think.
Well, it happens because you answer your phone.
Yeah.
That's the
true.
number one key to real estate is answer your phone. I don't care if you're social driven or not. When somebody reaches out, you got to answer. And
Right.
so many people are bad at that. I mean, just look at the whole industry, any industry right now. There's no labor, there's no materials, and nobody's humping for business. Very few people are. I just had a guy doing some concrete work for me. It's been a month and a half since he's reached out, and he wants to do my garage floor. I just sent him a picture of it all done. Sorry, you ghosted me, dude. Next.
Yeah. So back to the sources that worked for you, Cheryl, because a lot of people, to Mike's point, are wondering. So starting in March, when the tap opened up for you, how many different types of deals, where are they coming from, and what's been working for you? And that'll lead into some advice to the agents watching.
Okay, they were coming from Op City. You all signed me up with Op City, and I remember first getting them. I'd click on it, and oh, you missed it or whatever. I'd click on it, and then I guess when I first got my deal and I did one deal, then more started coming, and they'd come more frequently. But it's just clicking on them and trying to get those deals. That's where I first got started, is from that. And for weeks I was like, when am I going to start seeing something from Ojo? So what I did is I researched Ojo myself, and I found him online, and I called them and I said, hey, I'm with Beggins, Century 21, and I want to get Ojo leads too. And so they were like, who's your broker? Who's this? Who's that? Okay, we'll sign you up. And then I sent that the contract to you, Jeff, to sign off on it. And I think it's different from the Ojo you're using, and I think you're going to move towards that.
Yeah.
But then I
We
got
were
a
doing
lot of leads
Broker
from them.
Boost, and you signed up for Ojo's Select Agent Network, which I didn't know, but all of a sudden I saw you getting all this business from Ojo. So I called Ojo and said, what the hell? Why is Cheryl getting all this? How can I get the rest of my agents involved? And so
Yeah, don't take them away from me.
No, don't. No, this does not shrink the pie. It expands the pie. The algorithm is going to like us a lot.
Okay. Yeah, they give a lot of leads. And the leads, I'm not saying op cities aren't. Op cities are good too. They're both good leads. Just from the few that I got, they're ready. Like they're pre-approved. And I really liked that. So I've been leaning on them more. And they'll send me surveys comparing it to other, they want to know how they're doing against other lead sources. But that's it. Those two are my lead sources. And then of course my sphere of influence. Those are the three.
Well, I'm going to be a little shameless plug here just for fun. But so OpCity is owned by Realtor.com, got purchased by Realtor.com. We beta tested OpCity with Century 21 5 or 6 years ago. So we're pretty in deep with OpCity, and then they got bought by Realtor.com. But it's not just every agent, every broker can join any one of those networks. They can. It's free for all. They don't care. But the difference is I have a coaching call with OpCity at least twice a month, where I've got a dedicated sales rep. We go into the data, the backlog. I can go and look at all your stuff, right? And we do. And then you hear me in the mornings. I go, hey, I had my call with OpCity last week. We're dropping the ball here. If we do this more, we're going to get more opportunities, right? Same thing with Ojo. Every month I got an Ojo meeting, and the broker's involved with Ojo, and they're trying to get us in. Zillow, every 2 weeks every week now I have a Zillow call, and it's just another opportunity. So the brokerage is involved, getting best practices on how to work that. And then you are engaged and you hear the best practices and you put them to work. And I know it sucks because you got to use their app and our app, but all that's, at time as we're going to find solutions to all that. But it's just, it's a collaborative community effort. It's not just, you're not out there by yourself. And if you need help, raise your hand. We've got somebody to call.
Well, I'm even trying to look for something where I can integrate it all, but I'm excited to see what you all are coming up with for that, because these 3 different places plus my own, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And we've got way more than that when you get into the Realty Broker network and all the different lead sources we have.
Oh, look at Cardis whole.
I can only.
Yeah, but it's working. So let's talk about from the Happy Agent podcast for a second. What's the why? You got, I'm assuming there's 3 of them. Right, the boys, right? So
I have 3 teenagers. Now there's one that's not a teenager anymore. He's in the 20s.
So
yes. Oh, I'm giving myself more.
What's this about? What puts that big ass smile on your face? What's the reason why? Why is Cheryl doing this? What are you looking to fund? Why are you doing
Let me be a little more pointed just for the audience. So no assumptions being made, but you were able to be a stay-at-home mom. So your husband obviously provides enough income for you to stay at home. Have your boys taken care of. They're not lacking for shoes and pants and stuff. So you don't really need any money. I think that's the question that begs on my mind. So why are you so dedicated to make this happen?
I don't know. I guess my husband calls me a workaholic. When I put my mind into something, I give it 110%, or I guess 121% is what I should say with 321. But yeah, if I want to get something done, I will put all into it. And I do. I want to serve these clients, love to find them their homes, and we'll do that. And I'll just keep working hard to do that. And I know you say, okay, you need to have a goal. You need to, what is it you want to buy? I don't relate to that. I don't say, okay, I want to have this new kitchen, or I want to have this. It's just something I do. I want to succeed, and being successful is getting them their homes, getting them into their new homes. So that's what puts what you say, the big ass smile on my face, quote unquote, getting them in their new homes. And that last one with Home Partners, when I called them yesterday and said, oh, we did it. You're going to be in, you're going to be moving in. They're like, well, we want to meet you because I haven't met these people yet. So we want to meet you. They're telling me when they're coming in, the date they're coming in, they're driving down. They're going to call me an hour before they get there. I'm going to meet them. And if it's lunchtime, maybe I'll treat them out to lunch. We'll see. But I do build.
You've never met them. That's fantastic.
I've never met them. Oh, I've got other clients like that. I've never met them, but I'm on the phone with them regularly, trying to get them homes.
Wow, that's impressive.
but this is the point, the thread that weaves through all the top agents and of what's going on. It's that service mentality, right, Craig? It's the I love helping people get what they want. Right? She's not talking about the money. Money comes, and I'm sure she's doing stuff for the family and saving things and going to do things for herself to make her life more comfortable when she feels like it. And that's the byproduct. But the drive is who am I going to help today? And the fun, it's a juice, it's a sport, and you're confident, and you know that one of your next couple of deals you're not going to have the knowledge in your head to figure it out, but you're going to say, hey, how do I handle this? But that gives you that courage to take that next step, right? And you don't really know what that step's going to be, but you know it's there, and you know someone's got your back. So I think everybody watching, you need to have that blind faith of knowing that you're going to figure everything out, and that some deals are going to work, some deals are not going to work, right? Cheryl, there's been some that just went and you can't fix it. And then, but when there's a buyer who wants to buy and a seller who wants to sell, you always find a way. And to Mike's point, you just keep persevering through, and with the perseverance to keep on pushing through. And it's just awesome to watch that play through. What advice do you have for agents who haven't been able to get to that success yet, or any agent that's looking to add another 15 deals to their production in a year? What advice would you give to people that aren't quite getting that groove yet?
I'd say just keep trying. Don't look at other agents and say, oh, why am I not like them? I went through some of those stages. I would be like, okay, why can't I be more like this person? Why can't I do this? Or what am I doing to not doing this? But it got to that point where I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do what I know, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward. And when I get a deal, I'll learn it. I'm just going to keep learning. If I don't have any clients at the time, this was at the beginning, I really felt so green, and I didn't know this, I didn't know that. You probably remember when we all met in Kissimmee, was it?
Yeah, Margaritaville.
Margaritaville, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just do how you do best, and it will come.
We can say do woo.
Roda-Wu. That's funny.
We got to make you a T-shirt that says that now. That's got to happen.
That's hilarious.
You're the marketing guy.
I think that's great advice to everybody watching. Just keep pushing until it works, because you know it's going to, and especially when you have leadership around it, it's going to make sure that happens on that one. So, well, I think that's a lot of great value. I think to that point, I want to thank you, Cheryl, for joining us on the Happy Agent Podcast, coming up with some great nuggets of info and inspiration. Empower, educate, encourage is our motto, and you've been a great example of that. We are super proud to have you on our team. And you've been here about from the beginning when we launched that Central Florida team, and we're glad to have you here.
Part of the original 20.
That's right.
Till 21.
That's right. And
I want to say thank you to you too for validating what we do. It's really nice to know that when you engage, it makes a difference.
Difference. Oh yes, that's good advice. Always engage. Always engage. Right. Don't be like, it doesn't make a difference, I'm not doing anything. No, get engaged. Get engaged.
And those who are watching, we've got audience all over the place. When you have referrals to go to the Orlando DMA marketplace, reach out to Cheryl, and I'm sure we'll put that passion out there and make sure that she delivers something, get you good referral feedback. So
yeah, her name's in the lower left-hand corner of that video screen. Just Google it and you'll see her pop up on every platform out there.
C21 Beggins, Cheryl. So Cheryl, thank you for your time. Mike, Craig, thanks for everyone for joining today. And have a great day. And I love seeing what makes you happy. And I hope it inspired some other people to do the same thing. One.